Have you ever looked at a complex IT system and wondered, how do they even start building something like that? Well, imagine trying to build a skyscraper without bricks, steel, or a clear plan. The same logic applies in enterprise architecture, except our bricks are called building blocks. And today we're diving into two of the most important types: architecture, building blocks, and solution building blocks. Welcome back to Topictrick. In this lecture, we're going to explore what building blocks are in the context of TOGAF, how they're used in the architecture development process, and why understanding the difference between architecture and solution building blocks is crucial, whether you're a new architect or someone guiding enterprise-level transformations. We'll also look at practical examples from the software industry to bring this concept to life. So let's start by defining what we mean by building blocks. In TOGAF, a building block is a package of functionality that can be used, ideally reused, in different architectures. It's like a Lego piece. You can snap it into different models depending on the shape you're building. There are two main types: architecture building blocks, or ABBs, and solution building blocks, or SBBs. Architecture building blocks are the conceptual components. They define what the system should do without getting into the how. These are typically created during the earlier phases of the architecture development method, especially in the business, data, application, and technology architecture phases. ABBs describe capabilities, requirements, and standards. Think of them as the blueprints. For example, if you're designing a cloud-native banking platform, an ABB might describe the need for user identity and access management. It defines the capability the system must have, the business rules it must follow, and maybe even compliance needs like GDPR or PCI DSS. But it doesn't yet say whether you're using AWS Cognito, Azure AD, or something custom. That's where solution building blocks come in. SBBs define the how. They're the actual software products, services, platforms, or hardware that fulfill the requirements of an ABB. Continuing with our banking example, the SBB might be AWS Cognito configured with multi-factor authentication and user roles, which directly maps to the architecture building block we defined earlier. This separation of what versus how is a powerful idea. It gives architects the flexibility to define solutions that are both aligned to enterprise goals and adaptable to technology changes. It also allows organizations to build reference models and architecture patterns that guide consistent delivery across multiple projects. Let's look at a real-world example. Suppose a large e-commerce company is building a unified customer experience across mobile, web, and in-store systems. At the architecture level, ABBs might include customer profile management, real-time inventory tracking, and order fulfillment integration. These are broad, technology-agnostic capabilities. When the project moves into the solution design phase, these ABBs are mapped to SBBs, such as Salesforce Customer 360, Apache Kafka Event Stream for inventory, and SAP Order Management API. Each SBB is chosen to fit the enterprise standards, existing systems, and budget. Together, these building blocks form a structured, modular approach to system design. TOGAF also encourages storing these building blocks in reusable libraries. That means if you've defined a standard SSO solution or a secure API gateway in one project, it can be reused in future architectures. This accelerates delivery, ensures consistency, and aligns with governance and compliance policies. It's worth noting that building blocks aren't just technical. They span business, information, and technology layers. You could have a business ABB called Customer Complaint Management, supported by an application ABB that defines the functionality needed, and finally implemented by a CRM tool like Zendesk as your SBB. Understanding how to define and manage building blocks enables better planning, reduces duplication, and improves architectural agility. It also supports a service-oriented mindset, where capabilities are modular, scalable, and reusable, something essential in today's fast-moving digital environment. So, to sum up what we've covered today, architecture building blocks define what needs to be delivered, usually in conceptual or logical terms. Solution building blocks define how those capabilities will be implemented, including specific technologies or tools. Both types of building blocks are essential in building scalable, repeatable, and flexible enterprise architectures. Thanks for joining us here on Topictrick. If you found this lecture helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with your colleagues or architecture team, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. In our next lecture, we'll look at the preliminary phase in the architecture development method, where it all begins. Until then, keep building smarter, not just bigger.